What's up, guys? Welcome to another CryptoSphere. I'm Cyflux with my buddy Sid Vicious, and we're joined together with a special guest, Sarah or Sass from Twitter.
Hi.
You want to say hello, Sarah?
Hi, everyone.
I know that Sid had a couple questions. We wanted to kind of get to know Sarah, ask her why she came into the CryptoSphere, what she thinks about it, where she thinks it maybe is going. And we could kind of ask her if she's open to talking about maybe the different coins that she's currently looking at that she's interested in. But I know that Sid wanted to ask a couple questions, so I'll go ahead and pass it off to him.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the podcast, Sarah. And we just want to recognize, you are a woman in crypto, right? And this is kind of like a question that is been somewhat controversial. Like, why is there so many men in crypto, and why there's so few women? And so there's kind of like a little bit
Like
of
a
a
disconnect
debacle.
almost.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of disconnect there and a gap. And whether do you think it's kind of get your opinion on this? Like, do you think it's a technological thing, or is it just more of a manly thing to do finances? And, like what's the woman's perspective in this? Because I like to hear from you, and then I can kind of elaborate what my wife says in the case. And I just want to do like a comparison. But, overall, I think individuals like yourself becoming invested in crypto and then also being a content creator, you're kind of being a pioneer for women in this case.
Yeah.
And setting an example and showing them that they can do this, right? So I just want to get your take on that. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you've raised. I think for most women these days, and obviously there are some cultural differences too, but for the most part in Western society, I think a lot of women are the ones that run the households. So we manage all the finances, pay all the bills,
Yeah.
do all the food shopping, and I can't really speak for the Eastern, I guess, Eastern societies, but yeah, that's the impression that I get from all of my girlfriends and friends that I have abroad as well. So when it comes to investing, I feel like it's a natural progression for women to be taking charge these days anyway, from the women that I've spoken with. I don't think, you said that you think I'm a bit of a pioneer, but I don't think that's actually that true. I don't know, maybe I'm downplaying it.
Well,
I think that's a typical
this
Aussie trait to downplay anything that's fantastic. We're just like, yeah, whatever, no big deal.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
The statistics show that I think it's what 80% men in crypto. They've done polls on this.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
that's where we're not just basing this off of, you know, our opinions. This
yeah,
is something that we saw and we think is pretty interesting.
yeah.
It seems more maybe. Are you saying it's more prevalent? Like it's something that happens more often? Like women are more in crypto in Australia, or are you just seeing this as a whole? I know
No,
that there's people that pioneer. I know that there's people that pioneer, like Tiffany Hayden, and there's plenty of women that I know on Twitter that are very active in the crypto space.
Right.
But what about those people that don't have voices, that aren't talking? Do you think that number is high? Do you think those statistics are wrong?
no, I don't think the stats are wrong. I'm talking about women investing in general. I think
Yeah.
there is a lot of room for growth for women in crypto, definitely, but I don't think investing, women investing, I don't think that's anything new, but definitely in the crypto space, yes, I would agree. I think that is new. But I don't think, I don't know, I don't like the term pioneer. I don't think I'm one of the first few women content creators about crypto. I just think it's taking a while for that to spread. Maybe, I don't
Well,
know,
how many
maybe
how
I'm
many
just downplaying it. I don't know, but
how many Australian women do you know that are basically creating a YouTube channel
None.
in the crypto space?
None.
Exactly. So
But
you are a pioneer.
but I am new to this too, so maybe there's some out there that I just
That's
haven't
okay.
seen. I don't know.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, there is quite a few out there. But it is one of those things that we see as unique, and that you have a unique voice. You can connect with people in different ways, and we've seen a couple of your videos are really funny. I always die laughing when I see them.
Is it the
But
Poonami?
yeah, some of the we've had conversations before where Sarah's had terrible experiences, and she's told me about them. But it's funny to hear her kind of comment about it and give her reaction on video. So I really appreciate that.
Mum life, I tell you.
What is your perspective of crypto in general? Do you think it's something that's
from a woman's
gonna
perspective,
continue?
or just my personal?
No, from your perspective.
From mine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still feel like, you know how they say crypto is like the Wild West?
Right.
I still feel like there is a lot of that out there. Like just today when I logged into Twitter, I saw a couple of new scam, a few people in the XRP and wider crypto community have been caught up in scams. I feel like that's such a
Yeah.
regular occurrence. And I think that that's what puts a lot of people off joining the ranks in crypto investing. Especially for women, I feel like there's an element of unfamiliarity and risk,
Right.
because they don't know enough about it, and they don't really know where to start looking for information about it. The risk is too high for them to jump in and feel confident about jumping in. I know from my own perspective, like I would still consider myself to be quite risk adverse, even though I have joined the ranks in investing in crypto. I feel like how do I explain it? I feel like the risk that I've been prepared to take on and have taken on is an educated risk. Like it's been an educated decision. Right. And I feel like the crypto that I've invested in are the safest bets out of all of the different types of crypto, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
Yeah.
The lowest risk.
We agree, and that's why we're invested in the same thing. So
yeah,
it's not something that we think is a risk you should take if you're not educated. Like if you're going to get into crypto in general, you need to know what you're investing in.
Yeah,
understand what utility it has, where it's going, what kind of a team is behind it. Those are all important things.
Yeah.
I think that men are kind of probably a little bit more frugal, like don't care or don't take their responsibilities as serious. And I think women are a little bit more intelligent on that point. So I think they're less likely to take financial risks unless they're certain.
Yeah.
Which is probably not a bad thing. So I think that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to ask, Sid?
I think that was, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And from an overall perspective, just how much of a risk taker is the individual in general. Just kind of like what we've kind of correlated with other polls that have been presented, that they've only shown that there's more men. Maybe men just only participate in the polls. I don't know.
That's probably true too.
We just want to correlate, what did they show versus, someone like yourself who is a woman who can actually speak for yourself in this case, and whether you've seen women in general, whether they're in Australia or just on Twitter or social media that you are aware of, to kind of correlate with what those polls are showing. So this kind of gives us a little baseline understanding from a woman's perspective about crypto in general. And I felt like this should be presented to the community in this case. And maybe other women will probably see this and they will maybe want to be a little bit more vocal about it. So
Yeah.
I felt like this is kind of like a gap that's not, being presented in the community in general. And maybe there's just some that are in Bitcoin. Maybe there's just only some that are in XRP. And
Yeah.
there's some that just have a collection of a lot of coins, right? So I thought I'd just kind of touch on that. So I found it kind of interesting, and I always like to hear someone's perspective on that. So thank you.
Yeah. If I can
Yeah.
just add to that too, if
Sure.
that's all right. I don't want to hijack
No,
your
absolutely.
show. But
You go ahead.
from the people that I've spoken with about finance in general, the women that I've spoken with, I feel like there is a lot of hesitation to take the bull by the reins or bull by the horns. Is that the right saying? Yeah,
bull by
so
the horns.
like even though the women that I've spoken with are in charge of their finances and some of them are single, they're not just running finances for their households. They're single women and they're professional women, but they don't
Right.
understand how to manage their money. They don't understand how to budget. They don't understand how to save, and definitely they definitely do not understand how to invest. And it's that lack of knowledge that leads to their fear of taking the first step. So I think for the most part, the first step is getting educated and knowing where to find that education. And I think that's the biggest struggle for women getting into crypto is they just don't know where to start.
Okay.
And don't you
Makes
think
sense.
it's also a matter of trust, right? They have no one to trust to help guide them into the market, right?
Yeah.
The
'Cause-
right direction.
right,
Yeah,
because this is the internet and social media, and it's so hard to trust people out there. So
it is. Yeah.
it's kind of like where Cyflux and myself have kind of brought up our channel is to help uh, pave a open channel path for new people coming into investing in crypto. That's why we developed the CryptoSphere in general. So that's kind of like where I was kind of leading into this, and why is there's gap of women not really, leading into this. That's where I was kind of coming from on that. So
I think she answered that beautifully, and I think that it kind of gives a pretty good insight of why it may not be happening or may not be as prevalent. But what advice would you give to someone? Like, where did you come from? How did you get to crypto, and what kind of led you down the right path of saying XRP is the right way to go, or I'm interested in this crypto? Do you listen to anybody or have anybody that you want to give a shout out to, that maybe influences you, or anything that kind of guided you to where you're at today?
Uh, so I'll
Is that a hard
briefly,
question?
that's a very multifaceted question. I think I'll briefly touch on
Right.
how I got into crypto, which will
Okay.
probably blow most people's minds because it kind of is a little bit far removed from the typical risk adverse female investor scenario. So I was watching this show on Netflix called Explained, and they had an episode about crypto. And I'd heard over maybe the last 6 to 9 months leading up to that point of watching that show, that episode, I'd heard my husband talk about friends of his who were invested in crypto and how they'd bought nearly at the top and they were dollar cost averaging down as the market dropped and things weren't great for them, and how frustrated they were. And I hope I haven't thrown him under the bus there, by the way. But anyway,
No, not at all.
so I saw this
You're fine.
episode on Netflix, and the two separate things. So hearing my partner talk about his mates investing in crypto, and then seeing this thing on Netflix, which is so widely available to everybody, I just put the two things together, and it made me feel like, oh God, I've missed the boat. I must be the last person on earth to hear about crypto and to be educated about it. And I feel like it's part of my responsibilities within my job to have interesting conversations to be able to talk to my clients about. As you can see in the background, all my colours, my colour bar over there, and all my retail stock behind me. I'm a hairdresser, so, you know, you don't want to be sitting around talking about the weather all the time. It's kind of boring.
Right.
Right.
So I thought, okay, well, I don't want to be the last person to know about crypto. So away we go. So what did I do first? I joined a couple of Facebook groups that were all about crypto and which coins to buy and how to get in and all that sort of stuff. And one of them had a beginner's guide and talked about which exchanges were really good to use for Australians and which ones were suitable for newbies. And I signed up my first account and it was approved that day, that same day that I watched the episode on Explained. And I was looking at which coins were trending. And at the time, it was September. And we all know what happened last September with XRP, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So we had that really nice, juicy spike up. And that was one of the top 3 coins that were trending for that hour on the exchange that I'd just joined. And that was, funnily enough, XRP was the first one that I clicked on to look at the charts for and start to do some research about. And every time I refreshed the screen, it started to spike a bit more and went up a bit more. And I just thought, stuff this, I'm not missing this. So I just jumped in. I didn't ask my husband, or not that I need his permission to invest, but, you know, it's a joint account. So, you know, joint savings, whatever. So it does impact him, and I feel like it's common courtesy to tell him what I'm doing with our money. But I didn't want to miss out. I got FOMO really bad, and I just jumped in. So,
oh man,
that's
good though. That's good. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was me. But normally I'm not like that. You know, with our shares and stuff, I take a really measured approach, and I sort of debate things and think about things for quite some time before I put any money in. But I just knew the reputation of the crypto market being very fast paced, and I just felt like it was right. So I trusted my gut and I jumped in then, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's a pretty good story.
Crazy,
I like that.
Crazy ride.
From Netflix to crypto.
I know.
That should be the
weird.
title of this. That's awesome. That's a really good story. I mean, that's better than you hopping in and, you know, basically buying in and then selling, and then the bull run happens and I got screwed.
Did you?
I don't know. At the very beginning, but now I'm good. I feel like I'm in a pretty good position. I think, Sid, you didn't lose anything, did you?
I didn't lose nothing.
In the yeah.
It's
but you
I
only
missed the
lose if
boat.
you sell, right?
Yes.
So
True. But it also helps of knowing when to enter the market in this case. So I missed the boat, so I missed out on the FOMO attempts. Then I kind of looked at what was going on. I was like, okay, things are kind of going down. It seems to be tapering off. Now I'm going to enter the market. And I waited years or about a year and a half. I saw all that and I was like, okay, maybe this will come down. And I was right. Patient about the whole thing. And I'm fully loaded. I'm locked and loaded with this next speculative 2 to 3 year bull market. And we'll definitely see some gains from where we are here for anyone who's coming in. Yeah. And if anyone's FOMO'd from before, they just got to wait till the price goes above where they entered. All that means, like you guys say, you know, if you sell now, you're gonna lose a lot. So patient, got to write it out maybe a little bit longer than everyone else, but patience will pay off.
I mean,
are
Sid,
you? Go ahead.
Can I just ask you a question, Sid, and Cyflux as well? If I don't know, I know that your background isn't TA, but I'm sure you can shed some light too with your opinion. I just feel like there's a lot of really impatient investors in the crypto space, and I know that I can be impatient and impulsive just like the rest of them. I mean, my story about how I got into crypto is testament to that. But I don't see that it's that hard to just hold your crypto. Like, I don't understand why everyone's so impulsive when it
And
comes to the price of
yeah,
crypto moving so quickly. It's going to happen eventually, right? Like,
right.
whether it happens tomorrow or whether it happens in 3, 5 years, 10 years, it can't stay this low forever. It just can't. Technology doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
whether, yeah, I just don't understand the mentality behind it having to happen so soon. Like, when we're investing in any other asset, we wouldn't expect these kinds of spikes to happen so frequently and so soon. So what is it about crypto as an investment platform or a mode of investment? What is it about it that gives everybody such a different mentality when they're investing in crypto compared to investing in, say, shares or something like that?
Yeah, I can touch on that. It's actually a couple factors that I've seen in the community. It's about people setting expectations, false expectations, because of them listening to someone else. Another perspective is they're FOMOing in because they want to jump in on this investment, and they may have leveraged and accepted a high amount of risk by taking a loan or using a credit card because they don't have the funds to invest with, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, kind of touching on the false expectations is, there's people that say like, "Oh, something's going to happen," and sometimes they do that for attention. Maybe it's because they just think something's going to happen, and so someone listening to that secondhand without seeing supportive evidence of something going to happen. What is that something, right? Why do you think something is going to happen? Now those other people are going to go, oh, something's going to happen. And they have this false sense of expectation that they're going to see a gain without really investigating. And there's FUD articles out there, and there are people to help stir up the communities. There's these potential camps, right? There's the Bitcoiners and the XRP, the Cardano and EOS folks, but there's people who have a multitude of all of them. But the false expectation that something is going to happen is what alludes to these folks being or acting in this manner. And what I've been trying to do is demystify that and help people learn to reset that expectation. And Cyflex and myself, we just did a video on this to explain where we think XRP will be. And I personally feel we have about a year to 2 years, given this market cycle that even follows the same cycle as Bitcoin, right? So it is a 4-year cycle and a 3-year bull with a 1-year bear, typically. And we're going to see something similar with XRP, but we may not see any elevation for quite a while, until maybe a year to 2 years away. And that's something that people do not expect. But I am showing that in another video.
Right. And it seems like a lot of people hop into this, and I think that there is a lot of residual. Oh, well, I made this much from crypto. I have a Lambo. I've seen people posting up stuff that they trade all the time. They're posting up pictures of their Ferrari or their McLaren, whatever. And people are getting anxious because they want to drive their Lamborghini on the moon. And they don't understand that this takes time. I mean, this is not you're going to put it in and 2 months later it's going to go up and you're just going to be some millionaire. This takes time, patience, and understanding. I mean, if you understand the asset that you're invested in and you know where it's going, you see the web work of how giant it is, especially for XRP, then you shouldn't have any doubts. You should just be able to sit back, forget about it, and eventually it's just going to happen. I think people are, especially our younger generation, expect things, are entitled to a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Especially with technology, because you can go on your phone and look something up and get the answer instantly. For
Yeah.
this
Exactly.
investing, it teaches you patience. Like, if you're not a patient person, you're going to have a really bad time investing.
Yes. Emotional investing, a broke person.
Yeah, exactly. Emotional investors is an issue. I think we have people that overextend themselves. They put too much money in, and are basically, oh well, crap, I have to pull out now because I have to pay bills. Well, if you're putting in money, if you're putting in that much money, and then have to pull out to pay for bills, you're overextending yourself, and you're investing way too much. It's just too much. And I think people need to learn how to manage their expectations. They need to learn self-control and patience. And those are some of the hardest teachings in life. And hopefully they learn it sooner than later, because when the time comes, are you going to be pulling out all your crypto at $2 or $1,000? You know, what is your patience level going to lead you to?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much where we're at as a whole.
Yeah.
That was a really good question, though.
Yeah, well, I almost feel like we need to approach crypto with the same kind of mentality that we would approach any other investment. Like, the way we invest in shares, if you're investing in blue chips and the less speculative ones, if you are risk adverse and, looking to set yourself up for the future, you would be looking at the blue chips, right?
Yeah.
The ones that you buy, you hold for 20 years, you use the dividends to reinvest, and you build up a nice little nest egg that way, and hope that, you have purchased something that will grow slowly over time. The intrinsic value of that investment will grow, plus the little bit of extras that you're putting in with your dividends to reinvest. That will give you a healthy little nest egg in the future. I feel like that mentality is something we need to bring into the crypto space, because to be expecting Lambos within a week, I think, is so unrealistic. And when you have expectations in life, I know that you end up being disappointed because your expectations aren't met, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
We live on a on-demand society. In crypto, there is generally a younger generation involved, and that's probably what has led into that mentality.
Yeah.
Majority is millennials, actually.
Right.
It is millennials. But I feel like we're kind of getting to that point where we need to start wrapping this up. But I really appreciated having you on, Sarah. I feel like we touched on some really great points, and you gave us some really good insight and some amazing questions.
Yeah.
And hopefully you had a really good experience on here with us, and you'll come back again.
Oh,
Is
I
there
love
anything you
that.
want to wrap up? Is there anything you want to wrap up with, Sid? If not, we can pass to Sarah and have her, give out her YouTube and her Twitter. I don't know if you want to read all those numbers. Maybe I'll just show it on the screen. But that way you can, people can go follow you on your Twitter and have your YouTube.
Yeah, I might actually just, how crap I am with technology, right? So I might actually just share those links when I share this video on my Twitter page, because I don't have my Twitter page up in front of me on my laptop. And because I don't understand how Twitter works and didn't when I set up my account, I look like a bot with a zillion numbers after my name, and I can't remember the numbers. So there you have it.
I'll put it in the description with your YouTube.
I hope I've been a good guest to you. Some of those questions kind of threw me, and I think being called a pioneer, I don't know if it's a me thing or if it's an Aussie thing, but it just feels weird to be called a pioneer. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a you thing for sure.
Amazing.
It's a humble.
Thanks.
You're very
Yeah,
modest.
it's a humble thing. Did you want to say anything else, Sid, before we wrap up?
No, my camera just went out, so I apologize about that. But
Oh, okay.
just want to thank you for coming on our podcast, Sarah, and it was great chatting with you. And I think we have a lot of content to look forward to later on. So thank you.
My pleasure. I was so excited when you asked me to be on as a guest. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining CryptoSphere. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We will be coming back with some more content soon. Still looking at getting Darren on. I know that I had talked to Sam I Am. We want to talk about wealth management, things in that direction to kind of help the CryptoSphere in general. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.